Welcome to the simpliHOM podcast, where we educate, inspire, and entertain real estate entrepreneurs seeking a casual and practical podcast. We're here to simplify your life and business.
You can find growth anywhere. And as long as you have an open mind and take those opportunities to learn, then you're going to grow from it.
The easiest thing too is just always being in your zone of genius. What you are passionate about and are good at.
The mindset shift is drastic when you're thinking of I am this person as opposed to I want to become or one day I will be is huge.
I feel like a lot of real estate companies have been putting a focus on themselves, basically. Recently, we've been putting it on the agents, and that's when our socials have been doing the best. It's become really personal, and we've gotten a lot more traction. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the simpliHOM podcast. My name is Sarah Wiley Armstrong, and I am joined here today by Brett Rakowski, our COO.
Ooh, I'm first, baby. Let's go.
Sean Mikey, our CEO, boss man. And over on the one
Last but not least,
we have Kyle Man, who is going to be doing all the stuff and all the things today behind the camera.
What's up, guys?
But he's also got a mic, so he'll be chatting it up with us.
Well, that's unfortunate.
There's so much anger towards me today.
Grant's on vacation.
Nah.
What's up, Grant?
What up, Grant?
Hey.
But yeah, so it has been not too crazy of a week, but also crazy.
Whoa,
How would you
speak
guys?
for yourself.
I was about to say it's one of those crazy, but not like the craziest.
No,
it's
definitely
ever
not the
been.
craziest.
but
It's
definitely.
That's how I
Crappy
gauge
week
it.
for me.
Aw,
Yeah,
what do you mean?
not emotionally.
man.
Oh, yes.
All
Sleeping
right,
on-
fragile story inbound.
Yes, here we go.
Sleeping on a really
Brett broke his rib on a soft bed.
that
Drama.
facts.
Cheers for 36.
So
know.
Brett's floors are being replaced. We've talked about it on the podcast
Yeah,
before.
finally
that
happening.
he
They look good
needed
though.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, they look good. Just
So you're just living the Airbnb life.
yeah. So now we won't be able to be back into the house until Saturday instead of Friday. So
Oh,
I have not told
lame.
my wife
I didn't know
yet.
that. You haven't told her that yet?
No, and I'll be out of town Saturday.
Well, unfortunately, this podcast airs today.
Yeah.
Bless it. Well, poor Ryan.
Yeah.
Is she going to have to?
Wait, you're out of town, but she's not?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh, was
but-
this the Denver thing you were asking
No,
about?
that's
Oh,
in
okay.
July.
Okay.
Speaking of, we'll talk about
Okay.
that. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I was trying to give him
Stay
a reason
tuned,
to
yeah.
go to Colorado, but I don't think that's going to happen.
That's okay.
Wow.
No, where are you going? Florida?
Yeah, for a day. So
I'm sorry.
my buddy Vic is moving up here, so
Oh, that'll be fun.
I'm
You
going to
did
fly
tell
down
me
there and
about
drive
that.
with him. Yeah.
You're driving with him?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't have any friends that love me enough to be like, hey, you want to do a 16 hours of hell with me?
I mean, I would.
Yeah, that's fair. But
Yeah.
don't expect that opportunity
For
anytime
sure.
soon.
But I won't drive with him to Chattanooga.
I was about to say, if
There's
Sean
that.
says he's going to drive 16 hours,
Sean's
I'll do
having a
the-
crisis.
Yes.
Yeah, the long yeah, for sure. The long distance things I'll do because, I'll feel bad. But the hour and a half, I'm not doing it.
You'll feel, yeah. You're sore sleeping on an Airbnb bed. You're going to be real sore next week on your 16-hour.
Brett is so
Journey.
dramatic.
For
We love
sure.
him, but
I broke my
dramatic.
tailbone.
So
I got to
what
go to the chiropractor.
What was it, 3 weeks ago?
Oh, yeah,
What
the
was wrong with him?
hamstring.
Yeah, your hamstring.
Oh, yeah. We made fun
No,
of
that
that
was
too.
that was the second time in 2 months. Yeah.
Did you
You're in
listen
a
to the
bad
podcast?
head-
We
We were hating
No, I
on you.
haven't.
No,
Has
it was all
has it
love.
aired?
We're
Wow.
spitting mad trash.
Lovish.
I don't listen to the podcast.
I don't
I
blame
literally
you.
said that. I said he's not gonna listen. Okay, well this is taking a downward
I
spiral.
listen to the reels.
So speaking of, it's a little gloomy outside.
Is it?
And so that's
Yeah.
probably why we're spiraling right now.
Oh, I don't
Everyone's
think
just
we're
a little-
spiraling. It's just fun to throw shade
Yeah,
sometimes.
we're a little gloomy.
It's like
but-
love shade, though. It's not like actual shade. It's
Yeah.
like, I look up to everybody at this table, so it's fun to make fun of you a little bit and bring you back down to my level.
I mean, literally, I look up to everyone.
Yeah.
So.
That's true.
Except for Swag.
I mean, yeah.
Shorty over here.
Her and I get, we know what
It's
really
okay.
looking up to people feels like.
Well,
Alrighty
I want-
then. Great intro, guys.
I'm trying, and
Banging
everyone
on all
keeps
cylinders.
talking. All right, boys.
Shut up, Sean.
Here's what we're gonna do to get us out of this gloom a little bit. We're gonna say something nice about the person to our right.
Yes,
I was hoping you.
Well, Kyle is to your right, technically, in a
man.
sense. So,
I'm gonna have to really
Yes.
think about this one.
so
I've
we're
got-
gonna have.
Just say something nice about Swy. Hi.
Oh man.
You started off, Sly.
You want me to start it
Yeah,
off?
go on.
Okay, I've said this before, but Brett is a very passionate person, but
Oh.
he's also very motivated
Okay.
Oh.
all
in
right.
that passion.
Okay.
Good save. Good save.
Yeah.
I
was saying,
really
you can't
mean
throw
that.
a butt in there.
No, Brett is someone that if he truly loves the product or the service or the whatever, he is going to back it with his entire being. And so,
That is a
He might get an Andy
Fact.
Frisella tat.
yes. No, but I think that there are people that don't have passion, so it's cool to see someone who is very passionate.
well,
And
thanks.
it's just been cool to even see you, let's say, your fitness journey and your food journey
Oh,
just
that's a
over the last
passion
couple
now.
of months.
That used to be.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You've grown a lot, and so it's been cool to be a part of that.
Thanks. Appreciate
Bam.
it.
Man.
That was
Yeah.
good.
Yes.
She came prepared.
No, that was on the
just
spot.
off the top
Oh.
of my head.
That was on the spot.
I'm sure I could think of more nice things, but
Imagine what she says when you're not listening. It's all good. Of
the
course.
passion just takes different turns. This man's psycho. Not really. I do not say that. I think it's important to be passionate about something, so I'm not going to speak
Alright.
bad about that.
Passionate
Like,
about a
I'll
lot
make
of
fun of
things.
you and say you're dramatic, but I'm also going to say you're very willed and determined.
Man, I wish you had said to the left. Like, I'm on the slippery slope here because I have to, like, compliment
No,
a
it's okay.
female. And if
Oh
I
my
say, like,
gosh.
one word out of place.
Sean, you know I'll just right back at you.
Pick you
Go,
real quick.
you go ahead. I got to
It's
think
your
over
turn.
here.
It's your turn, Brett.
Oh man.
We're going to do, this is like ordering at dinner. Start here and finish here.
And what I love about this is it makes you boys actually have to say nice things to each other. So let's do it. Spit 'em out.
man.
So
All
the
right.
first thing is Kyle wears cool shirts.
Yeah, he does.
Oh,
He's a shark.
You can't see it. He's got a shark polo
shark
on.
shirt.
Yeah. I did say that the other day. I was like, oh, nice shirt.
Oh, it was the black and gold one. Was
that
that yesterday?
God.
So that's a good thing about Kyle and I. We finish each other's sentences.
Aww.
Little buds.
Something nice.
Maybe about his character.
Yeah,
or
I gotta.
he was like,
you
you
put me
have
on the-
good hair.
I'm
and your
sweating
shirt.
right now.
There's a lot to be said about Kyle, but I want to make sure it's a good one.
Yeah.
I'm passionate.
Oh,
I want to
man.
make sure
Yes.
that he feels it. I have to
feel
say,
it.
yeah, I have to say, Kyle is probably one of the most giving people I've ever met. Caring, not giving. Well, giving too, but caring.
Gives a lot of
He
care.
really cares. You really care about.
give a
people.
care.
Yeah, you give a care. You really.
He's as
do.
genuine as they come.
Yes,
For
oh,
sure.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Wears his little heart on his sleeve.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way.
Well,
Yeah.
I found that out lately. In the last month, 4 people have told me, Kyle, you have no poker face.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
And I did
I
not
told
know
you
that.
yesterday. I said,
Yeah.
When you're upset, I know.
Yep.
Not even upset when you're having a bad day.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be mad or angry. Or you're just
You can be stressed.
Yeah.
You see the stress.
I'm emotive.
You wear it on.
He's
wear it on your
emotive.
sleeve.
He's an emoji. He's
Yeah.
a walking emoji.
Yeah. He truly does not want anyone to be upset with him.
That's,
He
yeah.
takes
Yeah.
If you are upset with him, he feels it deep down. Deep down.
I blame my mom.
He really cares.
He's like, this is really rooted in some childhood trauma. Let's dig that out.
So what we were
love me
going to
too
talk
hard.
about today and what we're actually doing is therapy. So
All right, Kyle, it's your turn
hey,
to hype him up.
this better be a fragment, like three words
No.
maximum.
No.
What? Oh,
Story time.
No.
Story time.
okay. Keep it brief because Kyle
Heart
loves
pounding.
to
He's
chat
so
it up.
nervous.
No,
Look,
he's
sweating now. Look,
he
he's
has a
blushing.
history of not being a good storyteller, so we're not doing story time.
I think you're a fine storyteller. Don't listen to these boys.
I didn't say anything.
Sean,
We're supposed to say nice
Sean,
things,
you're a
Sean.
person
To my right.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Say something negative to the person on your left. Okay, so Sean,
Okay.
compliment about you. No one
Ooh.
can see my face right now, so I can.
He's lying.
I'm lying. I can say whatever I want. Yeah. Man.
Oof.
You
Yeah.
know, the one thing that I mean, if I had to pick one
He's
thing.
like,
well, there's so many things, but there
Okay.
really is.
Lies.
I think for you are the greatest example of putting people first And I know that's like the core value of the company, and I'm not saying it just because of that. But I, over the years, seeing behind the scenes of like when you drop the facade, I mean, not the facade of a CEO, but when it's like you Sean, Mike, you talking about helping somebody, you go above and beyond behind the scenes. Nobody sees it. Nobody knows about it. But behind the scenes, you are trying to do everything you can to make sure that the people you care about succeed. And I respect that.
Thank you.
That was nice.
That's true.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
well said.
Well said. It was better than Brett's. So
Wow.
It wasn't a story, so there we go.
Yeah.
okay, pressure's on.
Hype me up, Sean.
Swy,
Make me feel good
Hey,
about
hold on.
myself.
our dear
Hold on.
Swy.
She was. Just take this into heart before you say anything.
Oh God,
Sometimes you just say things.
I'm
Oh,
really
God.
good at just saying
I know,
things.
I know. Let's think about. I had to stop you the other day. She's your first employee ever.
I know.
Oh gosh, what was he gonna say about
I
me?
don't know. I have no idea what he was going to say about you.
It's something nice.
What is-
Look,
I'm
it
just
just had to
saying.
be something
I'm just-
nice about the
I'm
person next to you, and it's turned into this.
I'm telling him to think about it.
Just tell me I have a great personality, and let's move on.
I want it to be deeper than.
Tell me I have a great
Then-
personality.
I want it to be deeper than. You're the most caring person I've ever met. And I thought that was deep.
You know, you really care. You really do.
Sorry.
Oh,
Sorry,
God.
derailed that.
So, what's my best personality trait?
Okay,
Sean, why is your face so red?
because she
little
made me
tomato.
laugh.
Tomato. Throwing tomato.
Bob the tomato over here is gonna compliment you.
Look, he's sweating.
He's literally sweating right now.
I'm kind
Sweating,
of crying.
crying.
He's wiping
It's
it off,
hot,
too.
also.
It is hot.
All right. So, yes, Swy was my first ever employee. Swy is easily one of the most dedicated, hardworking people I've ever met. Even when I piss her off, she still shows up and delivers, which I truly appreciate because I probably pissed her off more than I should. And
But he puts people first.
Yeah.
she is I've actually said this about her in the past that from everything I know about her, which is a lot, she is like the epitome of who you want your daughters to grow up to be. Because she's like,
You,
she's
the glove.
she's like she's a great example. She lives her life in accordance to the principles that she believes in. She doesn't let anyone sway her off of those principles, no matter the influences, negative around her, like me. And she's a very dedicated individual in every aspect of her life, and I admire that, and I respect you for all of it.
Thank you.
man.
Aw.
that was deep.
That was good.
See, I stopped
I'm
him
gonna
for a second.
cry.
And thought.
Yeah.
Brett, see, I did it.
All right, Sean, you can pat yourself on the back now. All right. Well, I just wanted to get us off on a good note because we're going to be talking about some rough and tough. Yeah, rain.
Yeah, what are
rain.
we talking
It's
about
been
today? I don't
raining.
remember.
Okay, well, we are going to be taking on some bad advice.
We're taking on bad advice?
Well, we're not taking it on, but we're
Oh.
taking it on.
No,
We're
taking
tussling
it on.
with it, hearing about it. So what we're going to do is we're going to just kind of go around and talk about the worst bad advice you've ever taken. So what you've been given.
Kyle's frustrated because he sent me notes 3
Yes.
times, and I just said, "What are we talking about today?" And he goes, "Sean,
Yeah.
Yes.
you didn't prepare? No, I didn't
No,
prepare."
you need superhuman.
Now we can go around and say the bad
emails.
things about everyone, and that will include Sean not reading his emails.
Yep.
We'll be going around the
To the
table. And
left.
No, but I want us to talk about what was some bad advice that you've taken in your life and who convinced you to take it, and were there any warning signs at the time that it was not a good idea? Looking back in retrospect, what was it? How was it? I mean, any of these questions you can answer. There's so many different options for you. Does anyone have any bad advice
Yeah.
that
So
they've taken?
I personally don't believe in bad advice.
Yeah.
I don't. I truly
Similar.
don't. Yeah, because at the end of the day, you have to make the decision yourself.
Yeah.
And you know, there have been times where it's like, me taking someone's advice I still have to do my own research and whatever that decision, or I'm okay with the outcome if I decide to move forward in that, right? And so for me, I don't look at it as bad advice, more
What
so
was some learning advice that you've taken?
like learning.
What's some bad learning advice you've learned from that?
I'm very similar. Like I'll listen to everyone's input.
Yeah.
But then I'll kind of like weed through it as they're talking. I'm like,
Yeah.
and then
Me and Sean
kinda
were
take
talking about it earlier.
what's left.
Yeah.
That's good. Because I think for the most part, more people than not have good advice to share.
Yeah.
Well, it's their
But
experience, right?
Yeah, but
most of the time.
it can definitely be convoluted with bad advice that they got. Bad advice, anything that's come out of Dave Ramsay's mouth, that's bad advice.
Yeah. Facts.
Shots fired.
This is a very niche.
It is though. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Right. Like
stuff like that.
I'm
I
not
mean,
gonna-
like
I
those.
can go on. So I'm,
Yeah.
Like I
I'm
think
not
there's
gonna- I'm
some
not gonna go
parts
down that
that I'm
rabbit
like,
hole.
oh, that could be used well, and then some things he says.
I mean,
that I'm like,
he is
that's a
a
little extreme.
shining example of how to build an incredible audience
Yep.
and funnel them to an end result that gets you a big mansion on the side of a hill.
There we go. From bad advice to learning advice. That is how we
Yeah.
just reframe.
But you have to like reverse engineer his advice because the advice he actually sells isn't good.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's that.
Kyle
yes.
disagrees.
No. I was actually just thinking
So
about that.
I'll say there are certain principles that I do, and it's just like anything. Like you could take his advice and manipulate it however you want, but there are certain things. But overall, it's not. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When I drive by the massive complex they built off of 65, I always think, I wonder if he bought that with cash.
Well, he would be dumb
Probably
if he
not.
did, right?
No.
Yeah.
When money's as cheap as money has been,
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And I'm not
that's
trying to crap on Dave Ramsay.
No,
Like,
but it's a perfect example of preaching one way and living a completely other.
Yeah.
Right. The complete opposite.
granted, we don't have the facts to make that
Correct. 100%.
statement,
But
it's just
what you see.
deductive reasoning
Yeah.
would lead you to believe that
Absolutely.
perhaps
Absolutely.
there's a
Me
lot.
and Sean were talking about it earlier, so he did kind of know what the podcast was about when we were talking.
Well, an hour
about
ago
it.
I did.
Yeah,
but I've had
about-
17 conversations.
When we were
since then.
chatting about bad advice, I was telling him that when I was young, my mom told me if there is a person and I don't want to be like them when I grow up and I don't want to end up where they're at, you know what I mean? There's just people that you're like, I respect you, but that's not the place I want to be at, you know? Don't take the advice from them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
So
I haven't taken it. I've
Yeah.
taken it with a grain of salt and just kind of let it roll off my back.
bad advice. We oftentimes we either do it to our kids or our parents did it to us, right? One piece that I am complete opposite of my parents on, like growing up, it was always respect your elders, respect your elders, respect your elders. I teach my kids, you don't respect someone unless they've earned it. Just because they're older than you doesn't mean that they've earned your respect. So I think that that's bad advice, and maybe some people think that there's backlash in that, probably more traditionally minded. But the reality is there are a lot of people who don't deserve respect despite age.
Yeah.
And it's not like, I'm not saying like walk around and just like treat people like trash. That's not at all what I mean. Like obviously treat people with respect, but you don't have to look up to, admire, or respect someone's accomplishments
Because of age.
just because they're 50 years older than you.
Yeah.
Just because they managed to survive a little bit longer than you.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know.
No, that's a
Maybe
good
that's a bad
of it.
example, but
Mine is very surface level. It was the only bad advice I can really think was I had so many professors tell me not to get married. Is that not weird?
What?
And they were all grown men over the age of 50.
Thanks, dude.
Their follow-up advice was, well, if you're going to get married, don't change your name. I've done both of those things, if you're listening.
was
by
the
way.
third piece to get a prenup?
No, my response was,
sounds like
I
it
just
would
plan on
be.
being happier than you are in my marriage. And I left,
Good
I
answer.
left it at that.
Fair enough.
yeah.
So
See?
That
she
was
stays
kinda where-
true and dedicated to her values and beliefs. There we go.
that was kind
Perfect
of where
example.
I landed with that. But I thought that was very odd that grown men wanted to hand this advice to me.
Yeah. Speaking of weddings, I got good advice and didn't take it.
Oh, okay.
from multiple people.
Learning
Don't spend
advice.
all this money on a wedding.
Yeah.
God.
Bro.
Yeah.
That's why you should
That's
just
great
have your
advice.
parents spend the money.
Oh,
Come on. I'm kidding, mom and dad. I'm
Nope.
kidding.
Nothing. I paid. I think it was like 60 grand, something like that. Or
Holy
wedding was.
moly.
What?
Okay, I did not.
hey, you know how many in this? How many? We were friends at the time. You know how nice my invitation was. I didn't get one.
No, we were barely friends at the time.
Shots
I
fired.
actually met you. Did I do-
Nah, it was before.
It was right before.
Yeah.
Right before.
Yeah.
Met
It's
him
all-
right before.
it's okay.
Would you have gone though? Because Sean will.
No, I wouldn't have
Yeah,
gone.
I was about to say.
Oh, of course not. Knowing you now.
So don't
you-
waste the money on the invitation, guys. If
Especially-
you're inviting Sean to your wedding, just
Especially
don't.
in Raleigh, North Carolina, you would not have come.
Big facts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because at that time you would have to
Yeah.
drive or fly commercial, which you're not doing either.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's not happening.
Yeah, no,
No,
that
yeah.
I've heard that advice a lot.
That's one that I would.
I
go
think that
back.
is great advice.
Yeah.
I
Like,
think it
great
is for
advice.
keep
sure.
the wedding cheap, spend the money on the
Yes.
honeymoon.
Yes.
Or a
Yep.
house.
Yep.
Yeah.
Down payment on a house.
100%.
Or that.
Yeah, I
Good spin into real estate. Good job, Kyle.
Keep it irrelevant.
Meanwhile, I'm like, go honeymoon. The house will be there.
That's also a
Right.
good idea.
So-
I mean,
Ryan and I didn't get to go on a honeymoon, right? Because we spent all of our
Have you gone yet?
budget. No, all of our
What?
budget. So we did a 1-year anniversary at a 5-star resort, the Mandarin Oriental Hotel in
All right,
South
that
Beach.
counts.
So it was for 4 days, and we did everything that you would pretty much do on a honeymoon-esque type, but we didn't try. But we also did get engaged and did a 10-day stay in Europe, Bosnia, Croatia, and Rome.
what?
When we got engaged.
Okay, well, that counts.
I was gonna
so
say, that's
once-
pretty
So-
fun.
yeah. So, but at the end of the day, I would have rather had that money in the bank, and we could have. I mean, we had 103, but we invited 180 people. Everyone that RSVP'd showed up except for one. But at the end of the day, what do we have to show for it? Good photos and a great venue, and people talk about the venue because it was fantastic. But outside of that, I mean, what do you have to show for it? It didn't. It
Probably
doesn't
some really
change-
expensive pictures.
Yeah, 100%. It doesn't change our relationship in any fashion.
So some bad advice. Let's see, bad advice. Taking advice from too many people. That's bad
Yeah.
advice.
We have a meme on the wall. An askhole.
An asshole. Yeah.
Somebody who asks a bunch of questions but never takes the advice.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Deal with those often.
Do you have some advice though that we'll reframe it based on Brett's response, but bad/learning advice that you actually did take?
That I
Like you did take. Like you
Okay,
took this
yeah,
advice.
I
and
have
you
a
look back, you're like,
situation.
well, I've learned from it.
Oh,
Yeah.
And it
Crypto-
happened.
Me getting into crypto for sure. When I got in at that point, it was like I was taking advice, and
From someone who was making money when it was really easy to make
Yep.
it? Yeah.
yeah. So I took. There was a couple aspects to that. I took too much advice. When the one person that really gave me the good advice is the one I didn't listen to, right? The whole, buy the dip, sell it at all-time highs, whatever. But I definitely played the emotion. I played the FOMO game, right? Fear of missing out on that opportunity. Luckily, it didn't cost me a lot of money, but it cost me a couple grand, and it was a great net. Now I'm prepared to. I've put everything on with my crypto on hold, but it's when I'm ready to get back into it, it's definitely something that now I know I have
Yeah.
a strategy. Where before it's like, oh, this one coin, this altcoin's coming up, this coin's
When in it
You
did you
need-
realize, okay, I'm making
probably a month in that I was like, man, I'm just going based off of what these people that have made money, and I know they have. But they've already been, they're pushing these things because they already own a shit ton, right? And so when they're pushing it and they have the influence, at some point it's going to come down, and I'm already buying at all-time highs at that time when I bought, right? So, and then you have a crash like has happened over the last couple months in the crypto game, and
So I had some bad advice. 2013, I was laying in my bed checking my pulse every 30 seconds, freaking out, thinking I was having like heart issues and all this other stuff. It was anxiety and panic attacks, and like literally could not leave my house without checking my pulse.
Bro, I
like
used to do that
constantly.
shit all the time.
Obsessed, right?
Yeah. I still do it every once in a while. I'm like, am I right?
Yeah, sometimes.
Every
like
once in a
you'll
while.
feel a little kick in the chest and
Yeah.
go, ugh, here
You
we
get
go.
a palpitation, you be like,
Yeah.
oh, it's only 45.
So two instances actually on this story. One, so I'm going through this whole thing. I was actually wheeled out of the AT&T store that I worked at on a stretcher across the literally across the intersection to the hospital. They billed me $4,800. Ridiculous, right?
I'll tell you a story after that.
So I'm in the hospital, get out. They give me a Holter monitor, which is basically an
Mm-hmm.
EKG that's 24 hours a day.
Yep.
Go to the cardiologist, 24 years old, and the cardiologist goes, well, you have SVT, supraventricular tachycardia, and SVT is solved with what's called an ablation. They come in, they like burn this one part of the heart off, therefore it doesn't end up in this electric cycle of mayhem. And he was like, I'm going to go ahead and schedule a surgery for you. And I was like, no, you're going to provide me all the EKG results so I can like
Go to
read
my
it
own
myself. So I like taught myself how to read EKGs when I was like laying in bed. And I called him up one day and I said, you know what? I appreciate your input. However, if it was actually SVT, there'd be a missing P wave in the EKG, and there's not. There's a gradual ramp up and a gradual ramp down. Therefore, I think it's a panic attacks. And had I taken his bad advice, I would have had an unnecessary procedure on a 24-year-old healthy heart, right?
Oof.
So that would have been a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one instance. Second instance is I'm coming out of that situation. I'm desperately trying to figure out how to provide for my family. I've got a web design business at the time, and I met this guy on a forum online who had this business concept that he said worked really well. And so I trusted his advice because I thought it was good advice, when in reality it was bad advice. And he was just a scam artist and out there and just screwed me over and a bunch of other people, which led to the introduction of my story into real estate, where in 2014 I was evicted, my car was repossessed, I was living off food stamps and had to pick the water meter to give my baby a bath, and was flushing the toilets with gallons of water we were buying with the food stamps, which led to ultimately real estate. But yeah, those are two instances in which I did take horrible advice from almost took horrible advice from one and did take horrible advice from the other. And I learned a lot. I learned how to read an EKG in the first one. That's good. I learned that, I won't go down the rabbit hole of medicine and the whole medical industry, but I learned to verify people before you actually trust people. Specifically, if you're going to meet someone in a public forum, what's the proof? Like you can just go out there and in the internet world, you can share anything and claim all this whatever, and half of them are paying to rent the Lamborghini and take the pictures in front of the Lamborghini, and where's the proof?
Yeah. So when I first started my VR company, I started out with just video, and I was trying to figure out, how do I price this? Nobody does this. How do I even price this? So I went to a friend of mine who is in broadcasting. He worked for forget News 5 here in Nashville. I was like, hey man, like what should I price for? I got this opportunity to do a job. It's an interview. What should I do? He's like, I don't know, like $200. And I was like, okay, $200. Yeah. All right. So I ended up, and I asked a couple of more friends, and ultimately the gist was, you need to be priced so low that you beat out all the competitors. So, and I'm thinking about this, and I'm building a pricing sheet. I'm just like looking at it. I'm like, this doesn't feel right. I bid on the agency job for the interview. And not only, like, fortunately I had a friend who was the one who was like giving me the opportunity. And she was like, that's way too low. I was like, $700? Still way too low. Like we were in the thousands, is like 3,000 to 5,000 is what they're used to spending. And my price was so low that it scared him away. And that's when I started to think, okay, so one, I was looking for soliciting advice from people who I perceived as experts in their field, which they were in their field, but that had nothing to do with what I was doing. And it was well-intentioned. And that's something that I realized, that a lot of people, when they give you bad advice, quote, air quotes here, it's not that it's bad advice. It's just not the right advice for you at that time. So over the years, I read a couple books. I just through experience and pitching people and finding out what, like reading people, like when I throw out a number, if they took it real quick, I was like, okay, too low, got to keep going. And also reading, there's a book called Win Without Pitching. The 4 Hour Work Week talks a lot about pricing. And I realized I didn't have enough money at the price I was at to grow my business. I had enough money to pay myself an hourly wage, but I wasn't pricing based on the value. $3 an hour.
By the time it's all said and done.
But ultimately, I adopted value-based pricing after that because of that. And I never discount my services. Now, I will work for free if the non-monetary value is greager than what they could pay me.
Yeah.
And I do think that you should, especially, and maybe even the creative. And we talked about this in real estate, working for free to get for an end goal that's bigger than the one job that you did for free. But discounting the service discounts your work and devalues your work. Doing it for free increases the value. So that's, and also a minimum level of engagement. That was another thing, just having, like, okay, I'm not going to work. I'm not going to do jobs unless they are X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
Like anything less than that, I'm not even entertaining. I was able to start conversations from the get-go, from the very beginning. Okay, I know it's an uncomfortable topic. We're going to talk about budget. Our minimum level of engagement is not usually, you don't use the word usually, but is X. And then does that number scare you? And that's how,
You have to be really, really, really cautious where you take advice from. And if, as Swy mentioned earlier, if they're not in the position you want to be in, don't take it, period. Just flat out.
Yeah. I've been, oh, go ahead, sorry.
Well, just, think about growing up, right? Like for me, I had that rough patch, 2013, 14. And before that, I had a rough patch. And all the advice I was getting from family who have the best intentions for you, generally, or friends were like, hey, just go get a job. Just go get a basic, just get a job.
That's the worst advice I've ever got.
Absolutely. Just go get a job. No, I have a goal, I have a dream, I have a vision, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that comes to fruition. And that it's well-intentioned, but bad advice.
Yeah, that's one thing I love about my wife, right? Going through that time that we went through, having the car repossessed, and her really finding out the financial situation I was in. She never once did it come out of her mouth, go get a job, go get a job. No, it's like, all right, what the fuck are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
Right? Like literally her words.
Yeah.
Sorry, Grant, if you have to bleep that out. But yeah, but that was her words. What what the F are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
And so that's one thing that kept me going. My parents going through that same thing. Oh, they lived military and job after job after job. And they had success in their own right, being employees, but at the end of the day, they were never working towards something. It was always growing, and it was never that they worked for companies that they were growing something like what we're doing here, starting from the ground up and growing it to the vision that we see. Theirs was my mom worked for Blockbuster for 20 years. She was had the number one district manager. She had the number one district every place that she went, whether it was California.
There when they closed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, too bad that CEO didn't have vision, huh?
Yeah, she was there towards the end, right? Yeah, for sure.
God.
Well, Wayne Huizenga was out at that time already. Whoever, I forget who the CEO was, but yeah. So and then listen. Same thing, listening to them. It was to a point where I said this on the podcast previously. I was like, my sister had got me a job, actually a company local here that does travel nurses, TCA or something like that.
Yeah.
They're downtown, their main office. They have one in Florida as well. To the point where I had to interview. HCA. There you go. Yep. I had interviews, everything. And she makes a good amount of money as a recruiter. But I knew, just that gut feeling, I said yes to the job. I just didn't show up because I knew I could do better. I knew I could do better. But that was the only.
That reminds me.
Yeah.
I got accepted into nursing school and law school,
Yeah.
and I didn't show up the
Yeah.
first day. I was like, nah,
Yeah.
this isn't me.
It's that, but that's the only. I knew what I wanted. I just made bad decisions. I've been really, and I've been really good at when I do take advice. I'm a Virgo, and naturally I'm skeptical on a lot of things. And I take my time to, unless it's something I truly am passionate about, I'm foot forward, like, let's go. But if it's something that I truly don't believe in 100%, like if you were to tell me something, I mean, how many times do I say, I don't know, I don't think that'll work, like, and then sometimes like, oh yeah, let's go, let's do that. But that's just my personality is. So
We've also duked it out in those conversations.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's what it takes.
Yeah.
No.
Because again, I learned this from you, right? There's got to be somebody that opposes it. At times, I can't just. I mean, if I agreed with everything you said, I'm not doing.
Yes men don't build companies for sure.
I'm not doing you a justice for your vision.
Well, I'm sorry.
Go.
As an example, I'm building a board of directors right now, and I'm intentionally finding people who are going to be opposite of my perspective, and I'm a little bit uncomfortable with it, right?
Yeah, you need to be challenged.
Let me put these people in charge that can actually fire me from my creation.
Yeah.
But let me also put people who aren't actually going to agree with me all the time, because they've been there. Like, they've been successful. They've had big exits. They've built massive companies. They've fundraised significant dollars to build amazing visions that other people can't yet see. And they're not going to look at every decision that Sean makes and go, that was a good decision. They're going to be like, no, I don't agree with that one. You need to do it this way. And I'm going to have to, so it's good to have that thing. And like, we don't agree on everything. Yeah. Good. We don't agree on everything. Good. We don't agree on everything. Good. We don't get better if we're all just going along on the same tracks.
Yeah. And so I just been pretty lucky with advice and taking advice. I've always lived the same way of like, does that person live the life that I'm trying to build, or something similar, or do they have the accomplishments that I'm trying to get to? That's why I don't like, even on social media, I mean, outside of friends and family, which, I mean, if you look, I only follow like 400 people on Instagram, and it probably could be a lot less at this point. And it's only because I follow those that I know for a fact have the companies or have the success or the lifestyle that I want, not because it's a rented lifestyle or it's a fit, but I either personally know them or know somebody that knows them, or they have a track record. I don't just follow celebrities just because
for sure.
because I like them as artists or whatever, because at the end of the day, that's not real life.
As long as I've known you though, and I've said this before on the podcast, you and Kyle both are like always trying to level up, right? Like, you're always reading something and trying to figure out what's the next best way to write a story, or what's this 100 ways to improve your writing. See, perfect example.
Story writing.
And Brett, like, ever since I've known you for 6 years now, I think, every single time we're talking about something, you're like, oh yeah, well, I'm part of this mastermind with such and such a person, or this person or that person. And for you, it's been a journey of like going after the knowledge that they have, but it's also a proximity game for you.
Yeah, 100%.
And so I respect that. I have not at all done that. And like, I've been beating myself up lately because I've like stopped my reading habit. I was reading pretty consistently, and I feel sharper when I read, right? Like, you,
for sure,
you read a little bit and you're like, and it just, even if you're like reading and you don't feel like you're catching it or comprehending it, and then like the next day you regurgitate like an entire paragraph and you're like,
that you didn't even remember that.
I didn't even remember reading that. I was dozing off by that point. What happened?
It's a proxy to you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. If you're reading books that, even if it's just passively listening to it, or like you read it and don't feel like you got it, the thing is, you took that time to say, I'm going to take a positive influence of somebody, just learning something better than just sitting there and just not growing at all. I mean, it's just.
And I've been in a weird headspace recently where I've been like so exhausted from everything that I have going on that all I've wanted to do is go home and just like not.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to think. I don't want to talk. I don't want to listen.
And that's technically the time that you shouldn't do those.
Yeah.
Like if you listen to other people, that's when like people that are
Should be
successful.
resting?
That's the time that you should be pushing forward because you're on the brink of something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You feel that way because you are tired.
Yeah.
You are.
Oh, my
Rest
mental
is also important.
Huh?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah,
but that's sleep.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
I
Going-
disagree. I don't think it's just sleep. I think you can rest your mind as well. Now,
my
not to
problem is
say-
I don't have restful sleep. I dream
Well,
work.
Yeah.
Literally.
Me too.
Well,
So-
that
Yeah.
yeah,
I've been there.
I will even if it's still
you're a creative too though. So you like I think it takes a little more, and I'm not saying that
Right,
what you're saying is wrong.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit more mental energy to be a creative for sure, I think.
Well, the rest comes in a different form of thinking, I guess. It's not you can overtire your brain thinking about one thing, and I think it's healthy when you go in those moments when you're exhausted thinking about the one thing or the the things you have going on, let's say in work, to then take and divert your attention, still give, and maybe this is where the connection is here, still give the time and energy to continue to learn or take in information, but in something totally different. And then, but still, I mean, it doesn't solve the exhaustion.
'cause
For me, that's rest, is like
For me,
getting
that-
away from.
For me, that's working out. There's nothing on my mind outside of literally, and I've never been like this until the last couple months. You guys seen this, like just me going through the fitness journey. Like for me now at this point, it's like I sent a text to one of the trainers today. I'm like, bro, am I wearing a weighted vest today? Right? Like I want to kick my ass I want
That's
to
why
feel
he's always
pain.
broken.
Yeah, for sure. I want to feel, because Wednesdays are, if
He
I
doesn't
showed you the
stretch
workout,
before
you'd be
he
like, dude,
sprints.
Yeah, if I
that's
don't-
crazy. Yeah, for sure. That's how I pull the hamstrings. But in that moment, I'm not thinking about anything at all. I don't have enough breath. So for me, it's that, and meditation is when I rest outside of sleep.
That's my
Yeah.
flying.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Okay,
flying
yeah.
for me. Like, but then you guys have, well, you haven't, but
About
you
to
guys
see
have,
it.
you guys have been
Yeah.
in the airplane. Like, it's not a restful thing.
No.
It's like go, 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 go. It's
Yeah.
just a different go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
It's off of the work and the
Yeah.
all that.
But that's my thing. I do need to
Gene.
start sleeping better though. Cause
Okay, I have a question
feel
for
it.
you guys.
oh.
Let's go.
So y'all have kind of provided some
Pull us
bad
out of this rabbit hole.
some bad advice you've been given, or learning advice, whatever you want to call it. Can you think of a time that you've given someone some bad advice and what it was?
Never.
Sean's
Not
like,
even once.
I'm superior.
I've given probably plenty of bad advice.
I mean, we all
Yeah.
have, but
Well-
can you think
Yeah.
of an instance where like, ooh, I really dug someone a hole?
no, I haven't been. I do everything within my power to not be reckless in the advice I give.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will give advice that might be a little more risk averse than others. But I try to keep the person I'm talking to in mind, their skill level, their development level, their growth level, stuff like that. When I do have that type of conversation, I'm sure there have definitely been times, specifically probably in real estate transactions, right? Like you get like the heat of the moment in a negotiation, and you like have to like push to that next little level. I feel like I'm flirting with it right now with a situation that I'm trying to help people through, and I'm not really involved in real estate much anymore, and like the day-to-day stuff. And it's not that it's like a bad advice thing, but I feel kind of like backed into a bit of a corner as far as the directions I'm left with. I don't love that feeling, because I again, Kyle's kind words about me are that I care deeply about people, and I do, and I want to help, and I can't help everything.
Well, you're
But
also
I
at the
try
point
to-
in that situation that it's brought to you where
Yeah,
you
it was
weren't in
brought to
control
me
from the
very
beginning.
broken.
Yeah,
It's been broken for 6 months, and I'm getting
sure.
dragged into it. But that aside, I try not to be reckless in the advice I give. I
Yeah.
think, and I'm not going to get it right 100% of the time, but I'm going to try my darndest to get it right as close to 100% as I can.
Yeah, I'm the same way. When I give advice, the only time I truly give advice is if I'm really passionate about it. If I
Every
don't,
day of his life.
yeah, for sure. I got you on a ghost pre-workout, and you love it, huh? Yeah, see, No, I'm just kidding. Got you on Zoa for. No, I'm just kidding.
Worst advice I ever received from Brett was to do 75 hard for the 75th time. Still failed.
Yeah.
Yep. But
I'm kidding.
Yeah. Well, he's not kidding about the failing, but
Okay. Alrighty.
so I'm the same way. I try to understand that I'm not going to give advice if I'm not doing it, or if I haven't done it, or if I'm not passionate about it. But I always preface the fact that this is what I would do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you are and that's why I said, like, there's no bad advice, because I always look at it as I'm going to make my own decision regardless, but I still want other people's opinions more so than advice. And so for me, I'm the same way. I try to think of that other person, not necessarily their skill set or anything like that, which makes sense of why you do, because not all of us are not made equal. We don't, like, I'm not a creative like Kyle is, so I'm not going to go, we have different skill sets. But I try to be super, if I do get advice, it's either I've been through the situation, or I've done it, or I'm doing it, or I'm passionate about it. Yeah.
I also err on the side of being a little more conservative when I give advice. Like if I'm giving advice to myself, I'm going to be probably like, I know what I can handle for myself, so I'll like push it a little bit harder. But if I'm giving advice to somebody else, I'm more inclined to be on the more conservative side of that advice.
Yeah. There's a example, to use an example of, for me, advice. When I'm at the gym, I'm full blown, like breaking my back and stuff, right?
Yeah,
and
literally.
He literally breaking myself. And even one of the John who I was talking about earlier, he's like, bro, you only have one gear. Like, I need to teach you a second gear. Like, let's reel it back a little bit. I'm like, nah. When somebody's new at the gym, though, I give them the complete opposite advice that I would. Not advice. I give them advice that I know I'm not doing.
Do as I
You
say,
need to
not
start
as I do.
start at 25%, work your way up.
No, for me, it's like you have nothing to prove here. I go in, I have something to prove to myself. But the reason I give that advice is because that's the advice I was given and I should have taken in the beginning. That's why I didn't like training for a long time. Yeah, I didn't like training for a long time because I always went, and when I started, it was, all right, let's lift 225 pounds. Let's bench that right away. And then I get like 3 reps. I'm like, oh, I could do this still. But then I can't move for 3 days.
Yeah.
So I always just tell everyone.
Rhabdo never hurt anybody.
Exactly. And I just tell them that you have nothing to prove. Do what you can do. And that's the advice that I should have taken. And from time to time, like yesterday, I had nothing to prove. I didn't go heavy in weights or nothing. I'm like, just check the box.
What about you, Kyle? I heard you starting.
So I preface all advice with, I let them know I'm coming from a subjective point of view. I'm giving you advice based off my experiences. So just take that for what it is. You're getting a bias, and I'm gonna try to be objective. But I think the worst advice that I give is the advice I don't give at all. My default is like, I don't give advice unless people specifically ask me, but not most of the time, but some of the time when people need the advice, they're not up for asking for it. Some people just don't ask for advice. They're looking for somebody to help them. And my philosophy, and I guess it's because of the way I talk to myself, I'm trying to remember the author's name, and I don't think I'll be able to remember it, but it was in a talk on a podcast, and he said, it became a trending reel. No one is coming to save you. So you need to figure it out. And that was kind of, so in my head, I'm like, I'm trying to figure out, I don't really ask for a whole lot of advice. I do occasionally when I need it, when I'm talking to somebody who is experienced in what I'm getting, what I want advice about. But I think there's definitely been some times where if I think to myself, like, if I'd given advice, would that have changed it? Were they looking for advice but didn't have the courage to ask for it?
Yeah.
Something like that. So I default to not giving advice unless I'm specifically asked, but that can also be negative as well.
Well, it's like parenting, right? Like when you first had your first kid, everybody and their mom literally is giving advice, right?
Nice
And it's always
unsolicited. We love it.
unsolicited advice.
Yeah.
So I was like,
my
oh,
barber's
are they
going through it.
sleeping? Well, you need to do this. Nah, just let me raise my kid.
And then you hear
Right?
10,
Like,
10 different ways to put your
yeah,
kid to bed.
yeah.
I say
So-
that like I have a kid, but
I don't have kids. Yeah, but my barber's going through that right now. He's got a newborn. Same, and he complains about.
Yeah,
it.
it's the
Man,
worst.
Before the
Everyone.
kid was even before Zion was
Oh,
even
God,
born.
yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like he's like, bro, I don't know what I'm gonna do, man. Like people coming out of the woodworks telling me what to do, and I'm like,
So
and
going.
it is odd because some of them, their kids are completely grown. I'm like, I promise you, what you were doing 20 years ago.
It's probably different.
Yeah, I've just heard it because I have a sister-in-law and I have other
Yeah.
people that have children, and I'm personally, when I start having kids, not going to listen to someone whose kid is 25, 30 years old
Yeah.
because things have majorly
So many
changed
variables.
since then.
I've said this before, and I've sometimes questioned if I should, but I'm going to say it again. Not everyone is deserving of a platform, despite what social media has given everyone.
Yeah.
Again, for the people in the back.
And along with that, not everyone is qualified to offer advice,
Yeah.
even though they feel so inclined.
mm-hmm.
We're kind of in this weird spot where the people that should be talking and having a platform
Won't do it.
and
Yep.
the people that haven't earned it or don't deserve it are
Let
have
the entire
biggest-
world know
Yeah.
how smart they are,
Yeah.
Yeah,
in
It's
their
weird.
opinion.
in their opinion.
No big deal. Well, I hope you guys will write in with some of your bad advice that you've received. We would love to share it and break it down on the podcast. You can send it to our socials, our email, support@simpliHOM.com. Any of the ways you want to contact us, you can. But yeah, we've all received some bad advice.
Yep.
We've given some bad advice. Go ahead and follow us on the podcast. That's some good advice on any of our platforms. And we will see you guys next week. Bye, friends.
Later.
Hey guys, it's Swy. Thank you for joining us this week, and we really hope you got some useful information and we made your day a little bit better. If you're interested in joining the movement of realtors getting their time and life back, check us out at joinsimplihome.com on the browser, at simpliHOM on socials, or in the description. See you next week.